Sir, okay.
Recording in progress.
मयंक सर है क्या? मयंक सर, वो मैंने पीडीएफ अपलोड कर दिया, अप्रूवल की जरूरत तो नहीं है ना? श्योर ना? हाँ, अभी नहीं है क्या? ओके, 1 मिनट। सर, लेट्स स्टार्ट। Very good morning to all of you, my friends. Welcome back. So, I am CA Vipin Bohra, and I'll be taking care of the remaining chapters of these revisionary classes. So I request you guys, whatever the queries you guys have, whatever the doubts you guys are facing, whatever the conceptual queries you guys are facing, you guys can please post your queries. I'm here to address all your queries. So today, the session is for process and joint and byproduct. So I'll be taking few questions, a few advanced question on process and joint byproduct, wherein I'll be covering all the concepts in detail. In the meanwhile, it's like if you guys have any doubts in process and joint byproduct costing, you guys can post. I'll try my best to address a query of each and every student. Further, I have uploaded few questions, 3 questions. I request you guys to please download the question because if there are no queries, then I'll be discussing these questions. So I request you guys to please download the questions what I have provided over the portal. I request you guys to please download the questions what I have provided over the portal. Further, again, I request you guys, whatever the queries you have, whatever running in your mind relating to process and joint by product, और कहीं पे भी आपको कोई भी डाउट लग रहा है, be it conceptual query, be it query related to any question, you guys can post your queries, whatever it is. I'll try my best to address query of each and every student. So I'm discussing question number 1 from my material. Those who are watching via any other medium, so I request you guys to take the screenshot for the question of the question. This is the first page of the question. This question is from MTP March 2019. And this is the second part of the question. So let's start with this question. Question number 1. Aditya Agro Limited mixes powdered integrants in two different processes to produce one product. The output of process first becomes the input of process second, and the output of process second is transferred to the packing department. From the information given below, you are required to prepare the accounts for process first, process second, and abnormal loss or gain account to record the transaction for the month of February 2019. Wherein, when talking about process first, there are two raw material, that is material A and B. The details relating to the material used and the price is given. Further, the labor cost is given, the normal loss is given, the output is given. There is no work in progress at the beginning and at the end of the month. Further, when talking about process 2, apart from the input that is received from process first, there are two more material that are introduced in this process, material C and material D, and plus some flavoring essence. The labor cost is given, normal loss is given, and output is given. There is no work in progress at the beginning of the month. However, 1000 kilograms in process at the end of the month and estimated to be only 50% complete as far as labor and overheads are concerned. So there is no opening work in progress. However, there is closing work in progress. And when talking about the material part, since nothing is given, so we will assume that it is 100% processed. And as far as labor and overhead is concerned, it is 50% processed. The detail given as regards overheads also, wherein overheads of rupees 92,000 is incurred to be absorbed on the basis of labor hours. So let's start with this question. Again, this question covers all the basic concepts. Apart from, it will cover the concept of equivalent production also. And the question has asked us to prepare abnormal loss and abnormal gain account also. So we'll prepare abnormal loss and abnormal gain. This question, we can say it is just a revisionary question, wherein everything is covered. Yes, the advanced concept of equivalent production is not covered. However, but the basic part and overall, it will give you an overview. Overall overview of the chapter. So let's start with the preparation of process first account. So to material A, we can say these are the inputs, 6,000 kilograms at the rate 50 per kilogram. And material B, it is 4,000 kilograms at the rate 100 per kilogram. Further, the labor cost is given, that is 430 hours at the rate 50 per hour. It is given in the question that overheads of rupees 92,000 incurred to be absorbed on the basis of labor hours. Overheads are to be absorbed on the basis of labor hours, and the total overheads are 92,000. Divided by total labor hours are 370 hours in process second and 430 hours in process one. So total hours are 800. So it is 115 per hour. So 115 into 430. So material is done, labor is done, and overheads are done. Now the process loss is given, that is 5% of the input. So total inputs made are 6,000 plus 4,000, 10,000. So 10,000 into 5%, it will be 500. And the scrap value that is realized on sale of input is, it is 16 rupees per kilogram. So this will be 8,000. The output that is transferred to the next process is 9,200 kilogram. So this is 10,000. So this should also be 10,000. However, of these 10,000 input, 500 is my normal loss. So my output, expected output is 9,500. However, my actual output is only 9,200. So we can say there is an abnormal loss. There is an abnormal loss of 300 units. Now we need to calculate the value of these two, that is the value of abnormal loss and the value of units that are transferred to the next process. So again, we will calculate the total cost. So we'll first calculate the cost per unit, that is 770,950, that is the total cost, minus the scrap value realized, divided by my expected production. I have discussed all these concepts in detail, so you can check my regular lectures over YouTube or over the portal, wherein I have covered each and every concept in detail. So divided by expected production, that is 10,000 minus 500. So we will get the cost per unit. So if we multiply it by 300, we will get the value of abnormal loss, that is 24093. And if we multiply this cost per unit with the total 9,200 units, we will get the value of output transferred. So this is the way wherein basic process account will be prepared. Further, let's prepare the abnormal loss account also. So the value of abnormal loss account will be transferred to the abnormal loss account. So to process first, wherein it is 300 units and 24093. Now, just like normal loss units are sold in the market, the abnormal loss units are also sold in the market. So by bank, the value realized on sale of these 300 units, the scrap value is given in the question, that is rupees 16 per kg. So this will be 4800. So this is the amount realized on sale of these 300 units, and balance will be transferred to costing P&L. So if you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your queries. This is the way the process account is prepared, and this is the way the abnormal loss account is prepared. Anyone having any doubts? I think most of the students are new students, apart from I think most of the students are new one. You guys were not present in my regular lecture. Anyone having any doubts? Miss P. Yemen, Sinchen, Nagaraj, Mr. Rajkumar, any doubts? Process 2, we can say it will be the balancing figure. Alternatively, you can also calculate this value, that is 9200 multiplied by 80.310. Yes, it will. There will be a rounding of difference, so you can assume it as balancing figure also. It's up to you. I hope it is clear, Miss P. Yemen. Anyone else with any doubts or query? Rajkumar, Sachin, Mr. Murthy, any doubts? I want these sessions to be interactive because again, these classes are conducted for you guys only. It's like a revisionary classes or doubt session, whatever it is running in your mind, you can ask. So now let's start with the second part, that is process second. And since there is information regarding the closing work in progress also, so we will be preparing statement of equivalent production. So let's start with process second. So first we will take the inputs that are received from process one. So to process first, 9,200 units are received and the value is 9738857. Apart from this, two more new material were introduced, that is material C and D. Material C, it is 6,600 kgs and material D, it is 4,200 kgs. And the value of these material is 8,25,000. And 3,15,000. Next is my labor cost. Next is my labor cost, that is 370 hours at the rate 50 per hour. So it comes to 18,500. Further, flavoring essence is the value is 3,300. Flavoring essence value is 3,300. Apart from this, again the overheads will be considered. So we have already discussed how to calculate overheads. So total overheads were 92,000 divided by 800 hours. So we were getting 115 into 370. This it will be 42,550. Now let's start with the next part, that is credit side, wherein normal loss. Normal loss, it is given, it is 5% of the input with no disposal value. So no worries, 9,200 plus 6,600 plus 4,200, 20,000 into 5%. That is 1,000 with no disposal value. Again, how come I got this 1,000? 9,200, the inputs that are received from process first, plus the additional input. So the total input will be 20,000 into 5%. This is how we will get the normal loss of 1,000. Now the output that is transferred to the next process is 18,000 kgs. And it is given that the output of the process second is transferred to the packing department. So by packing department, further it is given in the question that there is some closing work in progress also. There is some closing work in progress also, and it is total 1000 units. So 20,000 and 20,000, the inputs are 20,000 and the breakup of 20,000 is given. Of these 20,000, 1,000 is the normal loss, 1,000 is closing work in progress, and 18,000 is basically the output that is transferred to the packing department. Now we need to calculate the value of these two. So here in this question, information is given as regards closing work in progress. So we need to prepare the statement of equivalent production. Those who want to copy this part, abnormal loss part, can please copy. I'll be erasing this part. Again, guys, many times students make mistake in abnormal loss and abnormal gain account. So be careful while preparing, especially abnormal gain account, wherein abnormal gain account is also linked with normal loss account. So be careful while preparing abnormal gain and abnormal loss account, especially abnormal gain account. I request you guys to copy this part at least. So now let's start with the preparation of statement of equivalent production. Now here, see, in regular statement of equivalent production, we used to write material, labor, and overheads. But herein, there are three types of material, material that is received from process first, material C and D, and again the flavoring essence. Now, since the percentage of completion of this material and flavoring essence is not given, so we will assume that it is 100% process. But yes, guys, do make a note of it that the percentage of completion may vary from material to material. Since in this question, no information is given, so we are assumed that they have introduced 100% of the material. But yes, in few questions, they can say that, okay, the inputs that are received from process first is 100% process. However, the new material is introduced up to 50% or 60%. So you have to prepare the separate columns of the different types of material. Here, since even though it is 100% processed, I'm writing it separately. So you guys can have a better idea, how to prepare the statement. So we can say from process first, again material C and D, and last is labor and overheads. Again, the percentage of completion and units, the percentage of completion and units, and the percentage of completion and units. So herein, the inputs that are received from process first, the material in C and D that are introduced in this process, and apart from this, the labor and overheads cost. Now herein, no question arises as regards whether to use method or method, because there is no information given in the question as regards opening work in progress. अगर question में opening work in progress given है, so the question comes as regards that we have to apply FIFO method or weighted average method. But in this question, no information is given as regards opening work in progress. So straight away we can calculate the equivalent number of units. So units transferred, total units transferred are 18,000. And since they are transferred to the next process, so we will assume they are 100% processed. Okay, very important point, guys. If the percentage of completion of flavoring essence is given and it is different from material, labor, and overhead, then one more column will be added as regards flavoring essence. That the cost is 3,300. So very important. Check the percentage of completion. If the percentage of completion is different different for labor and overheads, also separate column will be prepared for labor and separate column will be prepared for overheads. So very important. There is no rocket science. Don't get confused if the examiner asks that, okay, there is different percentage of completion for material X, different percentage of completion for material Y, different percentage of completion for labor, and different percentage of completion for overhead. Very simple. Material, labor, overheads, and if any other thing that is completed, I mean that the percentage of completion is different from other, then just prepare the separate column. Percentage units, percentage units, percentage units. Anyways, guys, now closing work in progress. It is 1,000 units. Since no information is given in the question as regards the material, so we will assume it is 100% processed. As far as labor and overheads is concerned, it is given clearly that it is 50% processed, so this will be 500. So when talking about the total equivalent number of units, it is 19,000, 19,000, and 18,500. So we have calculated the equivalent number of units. Now the next step, again, we are following the same pattern what we used to follow while solving the regular questions also. Again, I request you guys to check my recorded session. I have followed a particular pattern in all the question and uniform pattern for all the question. So once the statement of equivalent production is completed, the next step is we will calculate the cost per unit. So statement showing calculation of cost per unit. So let's prepare a statement. Particulars. Herein, since we have calculated variety of units, so particulars, that is the cost related to what element. Then next is total amount, units, and cost per. So let's start with process first. The material that is received from process first. The total cost is 738857. And the equivalent number of units are 19,000. Second cost is material C and D. Material C and D. Material C, it is 8,25,000 and 3,15,000. And the equivalent number of units are 19,000 each. Next is flavoring essence. It is 3,300 And again, the equivalent number of units are 19,000. Since no information is given in the question as regards the percentage of completion, so we will assume that it is 100% processed. Now, next is labor and overheads. The labor cost is 18,500 and the overhead cost is 42,550. Divided by equivalent number of units for labor and overheads is 18,500 and 18,500. So first column divided by second column, we will get the values. So first cost 73,857 divided by 19,000. So 38.89. Second, it is 8,25,000 divided by 19,000. So this will be 43.42. 3,15,000 divided by 19,000. It comes to 16.58. Next is 3,300. So the total cost, I'm erasing this process first account. I request you guys to please copy this part, that is process first account, because space is the constraint. I request you guys to copy this part because space is the constraint. So I'll be erasing this part now. Again, this is a very good question, and examiner do ask these types of questions that are different from the questions that are present in study materials and various kinds of notes. So examiner do ask these types of questions wherein some new points are there. Anyways, so I request you guys to copy this part, please. So there is a query from Mr. Murthy. Let me check. Sir, in question regarding the realizing value of abnormal loss, if it is not given while preparing, it is mandatory, assuming abnormal units will. Yes, Mr. Murthy, we will always assume that just like the normal loss units are sold in the market, the abnormal loss units will also be sold in the market at the same price. And balance amount that is left out, we will treat it as loss and that will be transferred to costing P&L. I hope it is clear, Mr. Murthy. So we have got the total cost, that is the total of all these items, that is the total cost is 102.364. So when talking about the units transferred, straight away, 18,000 units were transferred at this cost. So when talking about closing work in progress, see 1,000 units are common for all these items. 1, 2, 3, 4, all these items. That is for process first cost, it is 1,000 into 38.89. For material C also, since it is processed up to 100% in respect, see 1,000 comes from here, 1,000 from here. For material C and D, it is 43.42 and 16.58. Next is flavoring essence. Again, flavoring essence, it is 1,000 units only, and the cost is 0.174. However, when talking about labor and overheads, it is 500. So 500 into 1 and overheads, it will be 500. Again, overheads comes from here, 500 into 2.3. So this is how we will get the value of closing work in progress. So this is the way you guys have to solve the question. If you guys have any doubts or queries, any questions relating to the concept of equivalent production, you guys can please post your queries. Further, I request you guys to copy this explanation, especially this part and this part, because again, see, till now we have seen that we do prepare the statement of equivalent production straight away for material, labor, and overheads. But in examination, examiner can ask few questions wherein there are two or more than two types of material, and the percentage of material or percentage of completion may vary from material to material. So again, this part is the key wherein we will prepare for material 1, the percentage of completion in units, material number 2, the percentage of completion in units, and then labor and overhead, and it can be other elements of cost also. Anyways, so I request you guys to copy this explanation. In the meanwhile, whatever the queries you have, you guys can please post your queries. Giving you 2 to 3 minutes time to copy everything. Let me check, Miss Yamini. I need to check where is the question. Mr. Murthy, sir, if in case abnormal units comes in the process third, I think you're talking about process second. Please explain in simple way. So herein see, Mr. Murthy, very simple. See herein we have prepared for units transferred, the percentage of completion units, percentage of completion units, percentage of completion units. Similarly, we have done this for closing work in progress also. Now see, suppose if there are units relating to abnormal loss. Let's say if there are 500 units that are abnormal loss. So again, always remember this, that the percentage of completion of the abnormal loss units will always be given in the question. That these are, I mean, the units that are scrapped, the percentage of completion will always be given in the question. So very simple, we will write one more item, abnormal loss, the total units, the percentage of completion units, percentage of completion units, percentage of completion units. So always remember there are 3 points. There are 3 points. The first point, normal loss. We have to ignore normal loss while preparing statement of equivalent production. As I have discussed in my regular batch also, see, normal loss से क्या होता है? Product cost inflate होता है. So no need to consider normal loss while preparing the statement of equivalent production. So the first point, normal loss, ignore while preparing statement of equivalent production. Second point, abnormal loss. Always remember, guys, the information relating to the percentage of completion of abnormal loss units will always be given in the question. Question will specify that these are the abnormal loss units. Sorry, the question will specify the percentage of completion as regards material, labor, and overhead related to abnormal loss units. So abnormal loss, first point we have to consider in statement of equivalent production. Second point, very important point, the information will be given in the question as regards the percentage of completion. So you have to follow the instruction. Now, third point, very important point, abnormal gain. If abnormal gain is there in the question, we will assume that it is 100% processed. Be it material, be it labor, be it overhead. Even if the question is silent, we have to assume that abnormal gain units are 100% processed. So this is what about abnormal loss, abnormal gain, and normal loss treatment in statement of equivalent production. I hope your query is resolved, Mr. Murthy. It is clear, Mr. Murthy, or you want me to solve a question on this part? Yes, Mr. Murthy. Anyone else with any doubts or queries? In the meanwhile, I request you guys to copy this explanation. I hope your first query is resolved, Mr. Murthy. Then I'll proceed for the second query. Okay. So the next question from Mr. Murthy is, sir, if normal loss realized in process second, can we deduct while preparing calculating statement of cost per unit? So very important, the amount realized on sale of normal loss. The amount realized on sale of normal loss will be deducted from the material cost. So we need to deduct it from this cost, either this cost, or this cost. So let's say 2000 rupees is realized on sale of these 1000 units. So 2000 will be deducted from the units that are transferred from the process first, that is the inputs. Or you can deduct it from any material cost. So very important point, the first point, the amount realized on sale of normal loss will be deducted from the material cost while calculating the cost per unit. I hope it is clear now. Anyone else with any doubts or queries? Miss Yamini, as far as that question is concerned, it's just a simple mathematics wherein we have to assume input as 100 minus the normal loss of process first, minus the normal loss of process second, minus the normal loss of process third. Let's say it is 5%, 7%, and 8%. Let's say it is 5%, 7%, and 8%. 5% for process first, 7% for process two, and for process three, it is 8%. So 100 minus 5% minus 7% minus 8%. So it comes to 81.282. So the output will be equal to 81.282. So how much will be input? So divided by 81. The output that is given divided by 81.282 multiplied by 100, you will get the input. Further, if any abnormal loss is given, then you have to give the effect of abnormal loss also. Rest, it is purely mathematics, nothing more than that. Anyone else with any doubts or queries? Now, I request you guys to open your study material So see, many students face a problem in calculation while calculating the value when the output of a particular process is transferred to the next process at cost plus profit. So I request you guys to refer question number illustration number 1 second. Illustration number 6. Many students are facing this problem that how to do the calculation when the output of a particular process is transferred to the next process at cost plus profit. So I request you guys to refer illustration number 6. So A Limited, see, Amini, the concept is very simple. Let's say let's assume my input is 100. So we will subtract the loss of process first. It's 5%, let's say. For process second, let's say it is 7%. And for process third, let's say it is 8%. So ultimately, what will be my output? So 100 minus 5%. So output will be 95. 95 minus 7%, 88.35. And again, if we minus 8%, it will be 81.282. So the equivalent value of output will be 81.282. Now let's say the output is given. Let's say the output is given for process third. So it will be equal to 81.282 multiplied by input, that is 100. So we'll get the total input. So it's a simple mathematics, nothing, no rocket science. Generally, students are scared when see, oh, this is a reverse calculation question. This is equivalent production question. Again, think practically. Agar aap practically sochoge, you'll be able to solve each and every question. Again, costing is nothing related to theory or formulas. It's all concepts, what you apply in your practical life. So very simple. Just do the reverse calculation like this. I hope your query is resolved, Yamini. If the effect of abnormal loss is given, then you have to take abnormal loss also into consideration. That's it. So let's start with illustration number 6. I'll be discussing few points related to illustration number 6, not the full-fledged question. So I'll be discussing that part only wherein the students face the problem. So A Limited produces product AXE, which passes through two processes before it is completed and transferred to the finished stock account. 1 second, guys. 1 second. So let's start with this illustration number 6, wherein A Limited produces product AXE, which passes through two processes before it is completed and transferred to the finished stock account. The following data relate for the month of October. So the data is given as regards opening stock, material, wages, factory overhead, closing stock, and inter-process profit included in opening stock. So the output of process first is transferred to the process second at 25% profit on transfer price. So in general question, the output of a particular process is transferred to the next process at cost. But in this type of question, wherein each process is treated as a separate profit center and the output of a particular process is transferred to the next process at cost plus profit. So herein, in process first, it is given that the output of process first is transferred to process second at 25% profit on transfer price. Further, the output of process second is transferred to finished stock at 20% profit on transfer price. Stock in process is valued at prime cost. However, finished stock is valued at the price at which it is received from process second. Sales during the period are 1,40,000. You are required to prepare the various process account and the finished stock account. So when talking about process first, the calculation is very simple, wherein we will calculate the total cost. We will calculate the total cost. Once the total cost is calculated, we will add the markup and the value that we have got. This value will be taken as the final value, and the output will be transferred to the next process. Now herein, wherein the students make mistake is in process second and finished stock account. So I'll be discussing process second and finished stock account for your reference, because even I have got this query also that, sir, how to prepare process second and finished stock account. So let's start with process second account. So now herein, separate column will be prepared for cost, profit, and the total value. Again, on the credit side also the same way, particulars, cost, profit, and total value. So we will first write the opening stock. Again, I'm starting from process second. The process first is very easy. Here in maximum cases, student face in problems in process second. So when talking about the opening work in progress, it is given, opening stock is given. The opening stock is given, that is rupees 9,000. This is the total opening stock. Now, very important, the value given is the total value. Now, see the last point, inter-process profit included in opening stock. Inter-process profit included in opening stock. So this will be 1,500. So my cost will be how much? 7,500. Very important, guys. The total value is 9,000. Inter-process profit that is included in opening stock is how much? 1,500. So the cost of opening stock will be how much? 7,500. Now again, we will take the inputs that are received from process second. Sorry, process first. So we have to refer the solution. The solution is on page number, the same page, in fact, 10.24 and 25, wherein the output is given, that is 54,000 is the cost. Sorry, 54,000 is the total. The cost is 40,500. And this is 13,500. So we have got the inputs that are received from process first. Now see herein, the output of process second is transferred to finished stock at 20% of profit on transfer price. Stock in process is valued at prime cost. Prime cost means material, labor, that's it, and direct expenses. So no information is given as regards direct expenses. So we will take the material and labor cost. So it is 15,750 and 11,250. So to material and to labor. It is 15,750 and labor it is 11,250. So we'll calculate the prime cost, the total prime cost, wherein this will be 15,000. This will be 90,000 and this will be 75,000. Now, herein the key is the valuation of closing stock. Again, I repeat, it is given in the question. Stock in process is valued at prime cost. Stock in process means the closing stock is to be valued at prime cost. This is my prime cost and I have calculated this prime cost. Why? To value the closing stock. And the closing stock is given, that is 4,500. So we have to calculate this value and this value. We have got the prime cost. Now see, how much is the profit element on 15th? How much is the profit element 15,000 on a total value of 90,000? Total prime cost is 90,000. That is cost plus profit on this. The profit amount is how much? 15,000. So we can say that profit on the sales value is how much? 15,000 divided by 90,000. So 15,000 is the profit on 90,000. So how much will be the profit on 4,500? We can easily calculate the proportionate profit. So the proportionate profit is 750. So this value we have got, that is 750. So we can easily calculate the cost. So we have removed the profit element. So my cost will be how much? 4,500 minus 750. This will be 3,750. Since we have to subtract the value of closing stock, see, either we can put up the closing stock on the credit side or we can subtract it from the debit side. Both the approaches are correct. So we can write by closing stock 3,750, 750 and 4,500. Or alternatively, we can deduct the value of closing stock also. Both the approaches are correct. So this will be 85,500. This will be 14,250. And this will be 71,250. Herein we will add the overheads, that is 4,500. So we will get the total cost, that is 90,000, 14,250 and 75,750. Now the cost element will remain same. By finished stock 75,750 will remain same. It will remain unchanged. Now very important, we have to calculate this value. Very important, guys. When talking about process second, if each process is treated as a separate cost center, so when talking about the cost, this is the overall cost to the company. This is what overall cost to the company. However, when talking about 90,000, what it is 90,000 cost for process second. So while calculating the transfer value, we'll be taking 90,000, not 75,750, because 75,750 is the cost to the company. This amount doesn't include the profit element that is added at stage one, that is process first. So herein, when talking about this 90,000, it is basically the cost for process second. So while calculating the transfer value, it is given what it is given. The output of process second is transferred to the finished stock at 20% profit on transfer price. 20% profit on transfer price. So 90,000 divided by 80 into 100. So this will be 1,12,500 minus the overall profit 75,750. So this will be 36,750. So this is the overall profit to the company. This is the overall cost till process second, and this is the total cost to the company. If we want to calculate the profit for the process second, it will be balancing figure, that is 22,500 and 22. So this part is the key. How to calculate this part? Very important. Why I am taking 90,000? Why I am not taking 75,750? This part is the key. So anyone having any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your query. Waiting for your queries. Anyone having any doubts? Mr. Sheikh, Sachin, Yamin, Sinchan, Mr. Sachin, Mr. Manivan, Nagraj, asking everyone, Ms. Sheikh. Anyone having any doubts in this part? The solution is there in the study material, but yes, I have presented it in different way. So, and further, I have just written few explanations also. So those who want to copy this part can please copy. In the meanwhile, whatever the queries you have relating to this part, that is the cost plus profit part, you guys can please post your queries. Giving you 5 minutes time to copy everything and to post your queries. Mr. Murthy, any doubts or queries? Let's proceed further with the preparation of finished stock account also for better understanding of the concepts. Again, the same way, cost, second is profit, and third is total. Cost, profit, and total. Just like here in the opening stock is also given, opening stock is given in the question, and it is 22,500 and the inter-process profit is 8,250. So my cost will be how much? 14,250. Further, the inputs that are received from process second, it was I think 75,750, 36,750 and 90,000. Yes, sorry. So 75,750, 36,750 and 1,12,500. Now, again, the important part is the calculation of closing stock value. We need to subtract the closing stock also. And the value of closing stock is given in the question, that is 11,250. Now we need to calculate these two figures. Now see here in this question, it is given in the question that stock in process, okay, it is valued at prime cost. But very important, when talking about finished stock, it is valued at the price at which it is received from process second. So closing stock of finished goods is not valued at prime cost. It is valued at the price at which it is received from process second. So जो भी क्वांटिटी प्रोसेस सेकेंड से आया है उसके हिसाब से हम लोगों को क्लोजिंग स्टॉक वैल्यू करना है. So herein the total is not important. These figures are important. So very simple, when talking about the valuation of closing stock and profit element, 36,750 is the profit on total 1,12,500. So on 1,1250, how much will be the profit? 3,675. How much will be the profit? 3,675. So 11,250 minus 3,675. So 7,575 will be the value of closing stock. So the reason for discussing this account is basically the calculation of closing stock and calculation of final value. So it will be 14,250 plus 7,550. So the reason for discussing this question is basically the value of closing stock and the value that is transferred to the next process. So if you guys have any doubts or queries in this part, you guys can please post your calculation. Sorry, you can please post your queries. So we are done with process costing. These were the points, what I want to discuss, wherein the students generally face problems, especially the statement of equal in production, wherein you have to keep in mind few points. That is normal loss, we have to ignore while preparing statement of equal in production. Abnormal loss, follow the instructions that are given in the question. And abnormal gain, very simple, we have to assume that it is 100%. So once the statement of equivalent production is over, we can prepare the statement of calculating cost per unit, wherein the total cost divided by number of units, we will get the cost per unit. And the last part is basically the calculation of the value that of the units that are transferred to the next process, value of abnormal loss or abnormal gain, and value of closing work in progress. So anyone having any doubts in process costing, you guys can please post your queries. Thereafter, we'll be taking a break and we'll be discussing a question on joint and byproduct also. So whatever the queries you have, you guys can please post your queries. Any conceptual queries in process costing, whatever it is, you guys can please post. If you guys want me to discuss the concept of abnormal gain also, or I mean the account of abnormal gain, I can. So if you have anything, you guys can please post. After the break, I'll be starting with joint by product. So anyone having any doubts in process costing? Uh, Mr. Pradeep, Mr. Siddiqui, and Ms. Subhashri, the Zoom link is available over the portal. So you can join via Zoom. I think you're posting queries over the portal. So I request you guys to join the class via Zoom meeting, wherein you can post your queries and you can interact with me wherever the problems, I mean, related to the problems, I mean, whatever the problems you guys are facing. Anyone else with any doubts or queries? Admin sir, Manish sir. So let's take a break. I think visibility is all okay, sir. एकदम परफेक्ट है ना? ओके अच्छा, कुछ स्टूडेंट्स बोल रहे थे कि कोई आप देखेंगे ना पोर्टल पे 7:13 पे वीडियो पिक्चर इज नॉट कमिंग एट ऑल. देन आई थिंक वो तो शायद मिस्टर प्रदीप के इशू था. मिस्टर सिद्दीकी ऑल्सो मेंशन दैट द क्लास इज अवेलेबल और नॉट. आई थिंक उन लोगों ने बराबर से ज्वाइन नहीं किया है. हाँ, कुछ इशू है पोर्टल वगैरह पे. हाँ मनीष सर, चलेगा सर. लेट्स मीट आफ्टर 15 मिनट्स. ओके, आप चेक कीजिए. ओके. मनीष सर, एडमिन सर, सर आज कोई अकाउंट्स का भी लेक्चर है क्या? रेगुलर बैच है कि क्या है? ओके, क्योंकि स्टूडेंट्स पूछ रहे हैं कि सर अकाउंट्स का भी लेक्चर है और इसका भी है, दो क्लास कैसे करेंगे? अच्छा, ओके, इस वजह से स्टूडेंट्स कम है शायद, क्योंकि वो रेगुलर बैच है और ये रिविजनरी बैच है। चलेगा सर, सो लेट्स स्टार्ट। वेलकम बैक माय फ्रेंड्स। सो नाउ let's start with the next part. Again, I'll be discussing a question on joint and byproduct. The reason for discussing this question, the question is basically how to approach the question. I mean, how to start the question. When many times students get confused that, sir, the question is lengthy. It's a bit tricky. So the point is, when you see a lengthy question and tricky question, how to approach the solution. So let's start with the third question of my material. I request you guys to please refer my material. I'm discussing question number third. So question number third, Pokemon chocolates manufactures and distribute chocolate products. I'm just sharing the screen also for your reference, those who are not able to download it. So Pokemon chocolate manufacture and distribute chocolate products. It purchases cocoa beans and process them into two intermediate products, that is chocolate powder liquor base and milk chocolate liquor base. The two intermediate products became separately identifiable at a single split off point. Every 500 pound of cocoa beans yield 20 gallons of chocolate powder liquor base and 30 gallons of milk chocolate liquor base. So there are two intermediate products, that is chocolate powder liquor base and milk chocolate liquor base. And these intermediate products are manufactured from cocoa beans. And the details of the intermediate products are given, wherein at split off point, wherein every 500 pounds of cocoa beans will yield 20 gallons of chocolate powder liquor base and 30 gallons of milk chocolate liquor base. Further, the chocolate powder liquor base is further processed into chocolate powder, and every 20 gallons of chocolate powder liquor base will yield 200 pounds of chocolate powder, and the milk chocolate liquor base is further processed into milk chocolate, wherein every 30 gallons of milk chocolate liquor base will yield 340 pounds of milk chocolate. Production and sales data for the October 2013 are given, wherein cocoa beans processed is 7,500. The cost of cocoa beans to split off point, that is including the cost of purchase, is 7,12,500. Chocolate powder, that is the final product, that is chocolate powder and milk chocolate, the final output is 3,000 pounds and 5,100 pounds. And again, the same number of units are sold. It means there is no closing stock. The selling price is given. The, the October 2013 separable cost of processing chocolate powder liquor into chocolate powder is given, and milk chocolate liquor base into milk chocolate is given. So further processing cost is given. Pokemon full processes both of its intermediate product into chocolate powder or milk chocolate. However, there is an active market of intermediate products also, wherein in October 2013, Pokemon could have sold chocolate powder liquor base for 997.50 a gallon and milk chocolate liquor base for 1235 a gallon. So many complicated words and so many things are there in the question. You are required to calculate that how the joint cost will be allocated on the basis of sales value at split of point, physical measures, that is gallons, estimated net realizable value, and constant gross margin percentage NRV. What is the gross margin percentage of chocolate powder and milk chocolate liquor base under each of the method in the requirement first above? Could Pokemon have increased its operating income by a change in its decision to fully process both of its intermediate product and show your computation? So it's a bit lengthy question, and sometimes examiner do ask this type of question. Now, what to do, how to approach the solution when you find such a lengthy question? So see, instead of referring the question again and again, because see, when talking about in examination hall, I mean with examination pressure, it's like generally when students see this type of question, generally students क्या करते हैं, या तो skip कर देते हैं, या either every time they have to read this question twice thrice to find out the solution. And I think generally if you guys have not practiced well, it will take approx an hour to solve this question, because every time you have to check everything and again. So when you see such type of questions in exams, try to write the extracts of the question. So follow the pattern what I generally do follow while solving these types of question. I request you guys to please take the screenshot also. This is the first page. This is the second page. So now the point is how to approach these types of question. 1 second, guys. Now see how to approach the solution. So before writing the solution, better write the question in a diagrammatic form, wherein while using, I mean, with the help of the diagram, you'll be able to solve all the questions. So see, herein when talking about the writing the summary of the question, they do procure cocoa beans. They do procure cocoa beans. How much quantity? 7,500 pounds at a cost of 7,12,500. And my joint cost is how much? 7,12,500. Now see, from these cocoa beans, two intermediate products emerge out. That is chocolate powder liquor base and milk chocolate liquor base. Chocolate powder liquor base and milk chocolate liquor base. When talking about the quantity, it is given in the question. See, read the question. that two intermediate product became separately identifiable at a single split of point, wherein for every 500 pounds of cocoa bean, 20 gallons of chocolate powder liquor base is manufactured. So total pounds processed are 7,500, and for every 500 pounds, for every 500 pounds, for every 500 pounds, they will get 20 gallons of chocolate powder liquor base. They will get for every pound, 500 pounds, they will get 20. So total pounds processed are 7,500. For every 500, how much we are getting? 20 gallons. So total, how many gallons we will be getting? 300 gallons. For every 500 pound, 20 gallons. So total, how many gallons we will be getting? 300 gallons. I repeat again, 7,500 divided by 500 into 20. Similarly, again, for and 30 gallons of milk chocolate liquor base. So in this case, 7,500 divided by 500 into 30. So how many gallons will be getting in this case? For every 500 pounds, we'll be getting the second product, that is 450 gallons. So this is the quantity that is manufactured. So these are the intermediate products. Now they are further processed. They are further processed. They are further processed into what? The final product, that is what? Chocolate powder and milk chocolate. Chocolate powder and milk chocolate. And it is given in the question, also that the chocolate powder liquor base is further processed into chocolate powder, and every 20 gallons of chocolate powder liquor base will yield 200 pounds of chocolate powder. For every 20 gallons, how much? 200 pounds. So 300 gallons we have. For every 20 gallons, how much we are getting? 200 pounds. Total 300 gallons we have. For every 20 gallons, how much we are getting? 300 pounds. So how much is the final output? 4,500 pounds. Again, I repeat, for every 20 gallons, how much pounds we are getting? 200 pounds. So total output is how much? 4,500 pounds. And the one second. One second. It's 3,000. Sorry. Calculation mistake. So for 300 divided by 20 into 200, so it comes to 3,000. Now, this 3,000 pounds information is straight away given in the question. It means our calculation is correct. Similarly, herein in the second case, for every 30 gallons of chocolate liquor base yields 340 pounds of milk chocolate. So total gallons we have is how much? 450. For every 30 gallons, how much? It is 340. So in short, how much pounds we are getting? 450 divided by 30 into 340. So that is 5,100 pounds. And this 3,000 pounds and 5,500 pounds are also given in the question. So here is 7,500 pounds were procured from the market, and the total joint cost, that is after processing, it is 7,12,500. Two intermediate products emerge out: chocolate powder liquor base and milk chocolate liquor base. Herein, when talking about the output of intermediate products, it is 300 gallons and 450 gallons. How come for every 500 pounds, 20 gallons, and for every 500 pounds, we are getting 30 gallons? So this is how we got the gallons of chocolate powder liquor base and milk chocolate liquor base. These two intermediate products are further processed into chocolate powder and milk chocolate. When talking about chocolate powder, it is given that for every 20 pounds, we will get 200 gallons. And for every 30 pounds in case of milk chocolate liquor base, we will get 340 pounds of milk chocolate. So we have got the output. Now, additional information is given in the question wherein the final sales value of the final product is also given, that is at the rate 190 and at the rate 237.5. So these products can be sold at the rate 190 and at the rate 237.5. So sales value of final product will be how much? 3,000 into 190. That is 5,70,000. And 5,100 into 237. So this is the final sales value of our final product. This is the sales value of the final product. Further, it is given in the question also that the additional, that is the further processing cost, that is cost for further processing, it is given in the question that Pokemon Full processes both of its intermediate product into the final product, and there is an active market for these intermediate product also. See, here it is given that the intermediate products can be sold in the market at the rate 997.5 a gallon for chocolate powder liquor base and 1235 a gallon for milk chocolate liquor base. So these products can also be sold in the market at the rate how much? 997.5 and 1235. And at the rate, so we can calculate the sales value of the intermediate products also. So 300 into 997.5, it comes to 299, 250. And 450 into 1235, 555,750. So this is what the sales value of intermediate products. This is the sales value of the final product. This is my joint cost. And further information is given in the question as regards further processing cost also, wherein see in the second, after the table, the first paragraph, separable cost of processing chocolate powder liquor into chocolate powder, it is 3,02,812 rupees and 50 paisa. So when talking 3,02,812, This is my further processing cost for this part, and the second part, that is processing milk chocolate liquor base into milk chocolate, it is 6,23,437.5. 623,437.5. So these two are the further processing costs. These two are the sales value of the intermediate product. These two are the sales value of the final product. So now we are ready with the entire information. Now, if the question asks you to distribute the joint cost 7,12,500, if the question asks you to distribute, this is what, see here in these two are what my further processing cost. These two, see, this is what my joint cost. These two are what? Sales value at split off point. This is what my further processing cost. This is what the sales value of the final product. And further, if you want to calculate net realizable value, very simple. Selling price minus further processing cost, we will get the NRV. So, chocolate powder and milk chocolate. Sales value is how much? 5,70,000 and 12,11,250. Minus further processing cost. It is 32,812.5. And 623,437.5. So we'll get the NRV. This is my NRV. So now, once this master chart is ready, you can solve. One second, guys. So once this master chart is ready, you can solve any question. So whenever you find these types of question wherein examiner do ask you to distribute the joint cost in various ways. So here, try to prepare this table. That is the raw material and the total joint cost, the intermediate products, their quantity and their value, further processing cost. That is, these two are my further processing cost. These two are my final products, the quantity of the final product and the value of the final product. Once this master chart is ready, I assure you guys, you can solve any questions with ease. So let's say the first point, if the question asks you to distribute the joint cost, that is 7,12,500 in the ratio of NRV. So if it is NRV, this ratio will be used. If the question asks you to distribute the joint cost at sales value at split off point, so very simple, the 7,12,500 will be distributed in this ratio. If the question asks you to distribute the joint cost at sales value of final product, again the joint cost will be distributed in this ratio. If the question asks you to distribute the joint cost in the ratio of physical units, so it will be distributed in the ratio of 300:450. So this is what my physical units. So the presentation is also good, and you will be able to solve any questions, every part of the question with ease. If you guys have any doubts or queries relating to this part, you guys can please post your queries. Again, when talking about joint and byproduct, very simple, guys. Herein, when you find a lengthy question, try to write the extracts of the question. I request you guys to copy this explanation, this presentation, wherein the first part is what? My joint cost, the intermediate product, the value of the intermediate product. If they are further processed into final product, so the further processing cost, the final product, the quantity, and the value of the final product. So this is the way you have to approach the question in exams. If the question is of it's lengthy and it's the weightage is more. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your queries. Further, I request you guys to copy this explanation. Again, this presentation is the key. This part is the key. Once you are ready with the, see, again, this is not the solution. Basically, I have written the question in the diagrammatic way. Even see, the question is asking that if you have to distribute the joint cost in the ratio of sales value at split off point. So what will be the sales value at split off point? This too is the sales value at split off point. Second part, physical measures, that is physical unit method in gallons. So herein it is in gallons. So 300:450 will be the ratio. Estimated net realizable value. So herein 7,12,500 will be distributed in the ratio of net realizable value. And the constant gross margin, we have to calculate the gross profit and gross margin. That's it. Further, the third part, could Pokemon have increased its operating income by a change in its decision to fully process both of its intermediate products? So herein, very simple. You have to compare that how much profit we are getting before further processing and how much profit we are getting after further processing. That is, if these two units are sold in the market, then this minus joint cost will be the profit. And if these two units are only sold in the market, then this minus joint cost, we will get the total profit. So you have to compare the profit and to write your answers that which approach, I mean, what we should do. Either we should further process or we should sell these product at the intermediate level only. Again, guys, I request you to copy this presentation. This presentation applies to every question. I mean, the question which are lengthy. If the questions are straight away, no need to do this exercise. But yes, if you will check the past RTPs, MTPs, and past papers, you will find many lengthy questions on joint and byproduct. So again, the chapter is very easy. The point is students gets confused when they see so many information. So once you find variety of information in the question, try to prepare the extracts of the question. The extracts are the key in joint and byproduct. Every time it's practically not possible for you to read such a lengthy question. So better write the question in your language, wherein first the joint cost, the intermediate product, if the quantity is given, the quantity and the value, the quantity and the value, thereafter further processing cost, and thereafter the final product, their quantity and value. So this presentation is the key. Waiting for your queries, guys. When talking about gross margin, also very simple. The total sales, that is, we have the total sales minus the further processing cost. We have got the NRV, that is the profit before joint cost. So calculate the total profit minus the joint cost. We will get the overall profit of the company. So see, sales value is this much, further processing cost is just this much. So how much we are getting after deducting the further processing cost? 267, 187.5 and 587, 812.5. So 8,55,000 is the profit before deducting joint cost. If we deduct the joint cost minus 7,12,500, we will get the total profit for the company, that is 142,500. My total profit for the company will be 142,500 divided by my total sales will be 570 plus 1211,250. 178,1250 will get the gross profit percentage. So it comes to 8%. So this is what my gross profit margin. How come I got this? Sales value minus further processing cost, we will get the NRV. These two will be added with the profit joint cost. If we deduct the joint cost, we will get the final profit. That is what my final profit divided by total sales into 100. We will get the gross profit margin. So sales minus gross profit margin minus further processing cost, we will get the joint cost as allocated. So the chapter is easy, but the point is how you approach the solution, that is very important. So I repeat again, when you find such type of question, try to prepare the diagram or master chart for the question. Once the master chart is ready, we can easily solve the question. That is, if we want to distribute it in physical units, this will be the ratio. If we want to distribute it in final sales value, this will be the ratio. If we want to distribute the joint cost at sales value at split off point, this will be the ratio. If we want to distribute the joint cost at NRV, this will be the ratio. So once the master chart is ready, you can solve any question. So this question covers the entire chapter of joint and byproduct. Yes, the treatment of byproduct is very easy. I think, in fact, before two batches, I think I have taken this chapter. So you can refer my session over YouTube, wherein again I have prepared a chart. What will be the treatment of byproduct? Everything is prepared. Everything is explained in a diagrammatic way. So once you refer that session, you will understand how to solve the questions. But this question is the key, wherein it covers everything. 5 to 7 minutes, Anurag. Since I was explaining this question, that's why it took time. But yes, once you read the question carefully, it will take 5 to 7 minutes, max to max 7 to 8 minutes to write the extract. And once the extracts are ready, you can solve the question in 5 minutes. So in 12 to 15 minutes, max to max, you'll be able to solve the question. And when talking about this question, generally examiner asks these types of question with the weightage of 10 to 12 marks. Else, if you will not write the extracts, it's going to take approx half an hour to 40 minutes, because every time you have to read the question again and again to solve the various questions. I hope it is clear, Anurag. So when you find lengthy question, write the extracts of the question. Yes, you can. You can. But it is advisable that write net realizable value. Why to give any chance to the examiner to deduct your marks when you can easily score marks? So examiner को आप कोई chance ही मत दीजिए कि वो एक number भी काट ले. Better write it in a proper and in a neat and clean way and present the solution properly, because it will be easy for the examiner also to give you marks, because examiner sometimes it's like, they have to check the copies. So if your presentation is good, even examiner do understand that, okay, the student knows everything and he has written everything in diagrammatic form. So once he will solve the question, he will just check the answer. So the presentation is also the key. And again, the solution should be neat and tidy. Anyone else with any doubts or queries? We are done with process costing and joint by product. So if you guys have any doubts or queries, you guys can please post your queries. I'm here to address all your queries. Again, there is no alternate of hard work. Try to solve as many as possible questions in writing. You can refer past examination papers that are available over portal, past MTPs, RTPs, and study material question. If this much you are able to prepare, you can easily score 75% plus marks in cost accounting. Even these days, when when I was going through the paper, mostly the paper comes from the past MTPs, RTPs. But yes, you should have that much of patience to solve the questions of MTPs, RTPs. Okay, the examiner can change the figures, but again, the concepts are same. So, anyone, any doubt, queries? Let me check over the portal also. So, Mr. Parmar, this session and the coming few sessions, I'll be taking care of the revision part. That is the revisionary classes. These are basically the revisionary classes for September 2025 attempt, wherein if you have any doubts or queries, you can post your queries. Do try to join over Zoom, because again, you can interact with me. You can speak to me wherever the problems you are facing or how to plan your studies. You can interact with me directly. मई और जैन के लिए बैचेस जो हैं अभी स्टार्ट हुए हैं, एंड आई विल बी टेकिंग केयर from activity based costing and onwards. Most of the chapter I'll be taking care of, so make sure that you are regular, Mr. Parmar. Tanmay, any doubts? Subhashri, any doubts? Mr. Siddiqui, any doubts? Mr. Pradeep, any doubts? Do try to join over Zoom rather than the portal, because again, you can interact with me directly. So it's basically the balancing figure, Anurag. I've taken as the balancing figure. There can be rounding of difference. If you want to avoid it, you can take up to 4 decimals. You will get the exact answers. Anyone else? Yes, Miss Yemen, Manivan. Anyone else with any doubts or queries? Anurag, Nidhi, Nagraj. One second, there is a query. So, guys, done with this chapter, these 2 chapters. Still, if you are left out with any queries, you can write a mail to cma-inter@icai.in. I'll be addressing my name. I'll be addressing all your queries, how to prepare and all. If you need any sort of assistance, just write a mail. I'll be taking care of each and every query of yours. So Thank you so much, guys, for your time and patience and for active participation in the session. Again, the students who have joined over YouTube or via portal, try to join over Zoom so that you guys can interact with me. Whatever the queries you have, you guys can post your queries. I'll be addressing each and every query. So try to join over Zoom. Whatever the queries you have, you guys can please get it sorted. Anyways, so thank you so much for your time and patience. Try to solve all the questions of study material and past practice manual in writing. You will see variety of question in the past practice manual also. In fact, this question is from the past practice manual only. So try to solve the questions of practice manual also. You'll find variety of good questions in practice manual. So till then, see you guys in the next session. Till then, take care of yourself. God bless you. Have a great day. Manish sir? Yes sir. एक मिनट रुकिए, कोई क्वेरी है, एक मिनट. हाँ, लेट मी चेक. ओके सर, ऑल गुड सर, चलेगा सर. डन सर. यस यस. गुड डे सर, सी यू सर. आज ज्वाइन आपने बहुत लेट किया था शायद. हाँ, मुझे लगा कि क्या हो गया, आज सेशन है या नहीं है, फिर वो मैंने. अच्छा 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 अच्छा. चलेगा सर, नो प्रॉब्लम. आई थिंक नेक्स्ट क्लास इज ऑन. मेरा नेक्स्ट सेशन है, एक मिनट. हाँ, माय नेक्स्ट सेशन इज ऑन. 1 सेकेंड सर. मंडे को है अभी मेरा नेक्स्ट सेशन सर. थैंक यू सर, सी यू, बाय. बाय, गुड डे.